What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hang, Tuesday Night Hang, episode 56. 56. I got some gray hairs from these episodes. You know, we tried to get on last week. My apologies. We tried to get on last week. I got a lot of gray hair because the internet gremlins were hanging out, putting a tarbosh. It's a very big word at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. Putting a tarbosh on our feed last week. However, I think we got it tonight, and welcome to the Hang on Tuesday, episode 56. I have a cast of characters that are going to join us. We already were on for the last 10 minutes, and I already laughed too much. So anyway, hope everybody's well and doing good. Everything's cool on my end. And speaking about cool on my end, let's talk to one of the coolest guys under pressure all the time because of the internet gremlins. Let's say hello to Stephen Wright and somewhere in Chicagoland over there. What's up, Steven?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? What's going on?
Hey, we're hanging in there. I'm looking at things and I'm trying to figure out things. It looks like we're struggling this week too. Unfortunately.
Are we?
Yep.
Yeah, I hear it breaking up already. Yep. So it wasn't just my computer.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put a hit out on Comcast.
Yes.
if anybody can hear it. We're going to put a hit out on Comcast because apparently pipe wrenches and baseball bats didn't work last week when we tried to get the internet situated. I don't know. Do we need to talk to these guys?
No, I just checked Facebook and YouTube, and we're up and running. So we're all good. And
all right, cool. Well, long as Comcast, long as they keep their end of the deal, right?
Well, we'll see. Listen, it's free. What do you guys want?
Nah. I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
You there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a feeling this feed's going to fall apart again. So let's just, like a typical jazz, like being a jazz player, we have some jazz players on tonight. We're just going to go for it and improvise. So that being said, Steven, you've been hanging in there. Everything's cool. We can move forward here.
Yep. Yeah, we're hanging in there. We're in between storms and power outages and internet outages.
Can't hear you.
So it's got to be on your end, buddy. All right, let's do this. Yep, let me do this. Let me go ahead and do this. I'm gonna pause this. And let's have Carl rejoin here in just a second. But while he's doing that, I'll say hello to everybody here in the chat, and thank you guys for starting to trickle in. I see some of the fish heads already in the chat, and we'll say hey to Noah and Danielle. I see Dad Greg in Shelbina. The Hang Monster, Frank Benici's already in here with us. James Skidco, what's up, James? Yeah, I'm trying to keep the generator going. I don't know what the deal is lately. It seems like everything works good right up until the point where we hit the live button. so it's just one of those things. But you know, what are you gonna do? What's up, Mike Bitchman? Chris Hannikin, what's going on? Let's see, Suzanne chiming in from New York. Peter, what's going on? See Brenda Wright hanging out with us, otherwise known as Mom. What's going on? Got Judy. Got all kinds of people. Lee, what's going on, everybody? So yeah, Carl's gonna drop and he's gonna rejoin really quick. I'll just give you guys a brief. We have been having some trouble here on my end. Comcast has not been overly cooperative, and we last week we tried to go live with the guys with the Mike and Mike show, and it just did not want to happen. And it took 2 days for Comcast to get the internet and cable back up in our neighborhood. So we were sending around joking pictures of the Comcast trucks flying around the neighborhood, and we got it back up and running, but it's still a little sketchy. And so tonight we're gonna give it a second shot with the Mike and Mike show. We've got a couple friends and great musicians. Maynard Ferguson alumni in Mike Dubaniewicz and Mike MacArthur are going to join us. And I wish you guys could have seen that one. Dubie's holding up a sign that says, "I'm Mike." So I see Carl is adding back in here. So as soon as we can get things going here, like Carl said, this is we're going to handle this like jazz musicians and do what we can. But while Carl gets added back in here, we'll get things going. Are you back?
Noises I never heard before. Can you hear me?
Hey, there you are.
Oh, is it actually working? You should have heard my computer making noise.
Yeah?
Yeah. I guess I should get off the Kmart blue light special, which is like $6.99. That's my computer.
Well, what are we gonna do? We'll just keep it simple tonight. We won't. We
What'd
won't.
you say? I can't hear you.
We won't shift cameras around too much. We'll keep it simple.
Yeah, I can't. Literally, whenever it changes, I can't hear it. I can't hear anything.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep it simple tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for everybody for their patience. Sorry, we're dealing with this again. It must be the Mike and Mike. Either they're really electric in a good way or really desensitizing our feed.
Yeah, well, we'll get through. Len says we need a computer sponsor.
Yeah, we need more than that. I think it's computers, and also I think it's internet. It's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, that being said, I don't want to just continue on rambling, so I'd rather have at least the two guests of the hour come out and at least show everybody who we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. Tonight's the Mike and Mike show, and episode 56, and these are really two great friends of mine, and I'm very happy to have these guys. We were on Maynard Ferguson's band together, and we had a great time, and we continue to have a great time. So that being said, the first gentleman we're going to bring in, the unreal alto saxophone player. He also plays tenor, and amongst other woodwind instruments. He studied at University of North Texas, University of Manhattan. Actually, no, Manhattan School of Music, excuse me. And also is an Eastman College graduate. So this guy is educated. He was left Maynard's band, being a music director of Maynard's band when he left. Did I lose you, Stephen?
Nope, you're all good, man.
I hear laughing. Okay. Wow, I came out of nowhere. He is now one of the top teachers at Syracuse, New York University. He joined Maynard Ferguson's band in 1998 and has an impressive performance career and recording career. And he's just a good dude, man. So let's say hello to our friend Mike Dubaniewicz.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Great to be here, Carl. Thanks for having me, Stephen. Great to see you, Maxter, Mike MacArthur. Great to see you too, brother. And great to hang out in the cyber world with y'all, man.
What's up, Mike? Thanks for coming, man. Good.
You're welcome, man.
Sorry, we're having glitches, man. I apologize. I figured, I'm unstable again. I'm gonna fall apart. You there?
Yep.
We're here. I'm hearing you though, so I think if you just.
It's on my end. Yeah. All right. Well, Mike, what's going on? So you're up in upstate New York still, correct?
That's right. That's where I grew up, and I kind of migrated back there after about 10 years of New York City, and you know during that time I was on Maynard's band for about 5.5 years, so that was a good chunk of time within that whole sphere of time. And I got married and we had a kid, so it was time to get a house. And good luck buying a house in New York City if you don't have anything, if you have less than 3 million. And I had just a little bit less than 3 million.
You were like 2.9, 2.95,
So
2.95 you're at, right? And that's all you had.
yeah.
Well, Dubie, man, we had some wonderful times, and we still get together and have some great times. And I remember, quick little Mike Dubaniewicz stories. I remember, when I was in the band on and off for 12 years, I remember there was a whole bunch of new guys that came out on the band. We were getting ready to do a Diane Shore DVD, and that was, I think, Live from the King Cat Theater. And the band was brand new. I think maybe you did. Was that your first gig, or did you do a tour before that?
Yeah, I had been on the band for a good minute before that, but probably I would say maybe a year, maybe or maybe 9 months. At that point, well, I think maybe you're right, but it's sometimes
no,
your
because
memory.
Adolfo just joined. You joined when Adolfo joined, and the trombone player Mike Bogart.
That's correct.
Wasn't that your first tour?
That.
Yeah. So this was your first.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it's closer to like 6 months or something like that.
Wow.
All right, Carl, you got me on that one. I don't like to be called out, man. So I'm out of here.
I remember it was a whole. Well, I remember, and this is actually this is a good call out, because I remember you guys were. I had like 4 or 5 guys that were brand new on the band. I thought maybe you were one of them, but I don't remember. Mike Bogart was filling it. Tom Garling left, so it was Mike. Adolfo Acosto. I thought it was you. I had and we were playing Maynard's book and Diane Shore's book, and you guys came in, and I was the music director at this point. I was sweating bullets, and you guys came in and just crushed it. I remember, and it was like. It was really just, I was so impressed with just not only the musicality, but the hang. And that's what we're here to do tonight, is the hang.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think we did an okay job, with one rehearsal, right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes, we just did one rehearsal. And of course, we played our own book, the Maynard book, for part of it. But, that's already learned and everything. But yeah, a lot of those charts were like bassy charts, and, it was an interesting time, man.
Yeah, that was a real new band, I remember, and it was you guys came in and crushed it. And like I said, we're all about the hang and trying to bring people together. And if you guys weren't cool, we wouldn't be friends. So thank you for being here, Dubaniewicz. Appreciate it, man.
You're welcome. Are you kidding me, man?
Cool.
Pleasure to be here.
I want to bring in another guy, and then it will be a full-on party. This other gentleman, you've seen him on my feeds and his feeds. He's local to me here. He's a Tampa Bay resident as well. I'm now reside in Tampa Bay now for about 7 years. Mike's been here for a long time. We're talking about the one and only saxophone player, entrepreneur, and just great cat. We're going to bring him out here. Mike Mcgarv is also studied. He had a wonderful collegiate career. He studied, excuse me, at Florida. He started at the Manhattan School of Music, and obviously Manhattan, New York. Mike MacArthur, we're gonna call Mike Dubaniewicz Dubie. That's his nickname. We're gonna call Mike MacArthur Mac. So Mac is joined Maynard Ferguson's band in '98, and I ran into Mac probably in the mid to early '90s, back when I was back and forth from Florida. I first met him when he was playing bass, and we hung out on a street corner in Ybor City. And I heard about this guy. He's played tenor, and he had the same name as this bass player. I'm like, what the hell? So Mac and I go way back, and he's another great hang friend, and we'll talk about his future endeavors and what he's got going on. He's like Doobie, he's got a lot going on. So let's say hello to our friend Mike MacArthur. What's up, Mac?
Carl, what's up? Man, I forgot about the bass thing.
How you doing?
Holy crap, that was a minute ago. I'm great, man.
Yeah.
This is so
That
cool.
was, remember,
It was Ybor City Cafe Creole, and I used to go sit in with a sax player named Wayne Pearson. But true story, his bass player passed away, and they needed a bass player for the gig. So I, needing a gig, said, "Hey, if you can get me a bass, I'll play the gig." So they gave me a bass, and I went home and just practiced the crap out of it for like weeks until my hands bled. And then I played bass for like 2 or 3 years, man. It's crazy. I forgot about that.
Man, it's crazy, man, because I remember a lot of guys in town like, you hear the saxophone player in MacArthur? He's playing. I remember Ybor City was it's still kind of a cool town,
Yep.
but it's an offshoot of Tampa. Obviously, if you're not familiar with Tampa, it's where they make cigars, and it's a great Cuban community, and they have great Cuban food, and it's just a good hang. And it was a good music hang. I remember the Jazz Cellar. We were talking about that last week.
That was the first time I played with Maynard.
Yeah.
It was the Jazz Cellar right across the street.
Yeah,
I think that picture that I sent Steven was from that. I think it was your first gig, Mac, or because
Yep.
was it Jeff Rupert had left?
Yep, Rupert,
Right,
and me
isn't-
and you, man. Yep,
Yeah. You remember that?
yep. I remember,
Yeah.
dude, very well.
Yeah, that was great, man.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that whole scene. Like I said, it was like, oh, there's a bass player in town, but he also plays tenor. I'm like, really? Oh, that's kind of cool. Steven, how you doing? Did we lose Steven? Is it a party? Do we have all parties involved here?
We're hanging by the skin of our teeth, but we're there.
Cool. I mean, would we blow the machine up if you show that Ybor picture?
We can try it.
Probably.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I
We only got cut off once.
Yeah, I should have it here. Jazz Cellar. Boom. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah. I just found I was digging through pictures the other day, and it's just like sometimes I was taking the pictures, so I'm not in most of them, but some of them are just like non sequiturs. I don't know what I took pictures of. It's like this, this guy on the side of a Quickie Mart or something, and then it would come back into like you guys. But there's oddly enough, I couldn't find as many as I wanted to right away. So, but
cool.
This one, yeah, that was your first gig, Mac, right?
Yeah, man. And like most jazz clubs, that one doesn't exist anymore.
That was a great club with the piano keyboard
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, that was so cool, man. And that was a nice club too, man.
The owner of that club was an owner of Carl knows well, the Paragon Music back in the day. Down in St. Pete. Take you Ramori.
What's Paragon Music?
Music store.
Oh, okay, great. Cool.
The local music place here. Yep.
Yep. That is probably gone now, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Aren't they still there?
No, they're gone.
Okay.
So, Steven, go back to that picture, because you guys have your own memories of that, and I just want to point out 3 things that kind of just blow my mind right now.
Oh,
so
the less gray hair.
Oh, that, and we're all down. We're all up about 20 pounds from those pictures.
I think I'm down about 4 pounds though from where I was at. So I'm doing okay. You guys, I don't know about, but me, I'm good. Okay, speak for yourself.
I can't work under these conditions.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But no, what's amazing about this shot is the back of the head is Maynard Ferguson.
Yep.
That's Yep.
The guy in the middle is Jeff Rupert is the tenor player in the middle, who is another Florida guy that I used to play with years ago, and I got Jeff on the band. Jeff was like I said, I used to play with Jeff a lot, so I got Jeff on the band. Mike was on. I got Mike on the band, and Maynard loved tenor players and alto players. Jimmy Ford and Willie Maiden were his 2 favorite saxophone players that were on Maynard's band. He was the lead alto player, and
real deal, man.
Jimmy Ford, man, he was, man. He had chops like Charlie Parker, man. Straight ahead.
Exactly, And so that's just a great picture because he loved tenor players and alto players. And there's probably 3 of the best that I know right there. And what's amazing to me on that is that was one of my, in my 12-year tenor, and Mac, you told me this last week, that was one of my last gigs, or I came in and sat in on that gig. And that was your first gig.
I was coming on, and we only did a couple, if one maybe even, while you were actually on the band. Through the couple of years that I was out, you came back and did a couple little stints, but that was like the handoff, man. Like, you know.
Yeah. And it's funny that the 3 out of the 4 guys in that shot are still live here in Florida. And Dubaniewicz is, you know, like the upstate New York alto madness player, man. And
Yep.
Let me reiterate too, I didn't say this earlier, I meant to. Mike MacArthur is originally from Rochester, or what's the town exactly from upstate you're from, Mike?
Fairport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fairport traditionally had a great band program too, as Mac asked, you know, and I can attest to this because when we were in high school, we always competed against those guys and they sounded fantastic. So, you know, like high school bands.
Man.
Yeah.
It's a lucky, you know, you kind of are what you grow up with is what you had a great growing up in St. Pete too, Carl. Like, you know, all the guys down here in Florida that were teachers, the educators were everything, man. Bill Tiberio, which you know, I mean, I go back up and do clinics at my old high school band room and play gigs with him. And it's just always been a solid program, man. I did one, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm playing, it was a high school thing, high school big band. And I'm doing a little clinic and they had all the seats on the stage with the band. So it was nice and intimate. Gig's over and I turn down and I walk over and there's Doobie standing right in front of my face. I'm like, what are you doing here? He drove from like an hour and a half just to say hey. And I think we went to Applebee's afterwards and had some adult beverages and had a blast, man. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, I mean, there's the New York connection, and I'm not trying to correct you, Mike, but Mac, but I'm going to say one thing about Florida. I didn't go to school in Florida. I went to high school in Florida, and I got to say, education down here is actually pitiful. There's only 2 guys in this whole St. Pete and Tampa area that I still hold in high regard. The rest of them are shit. And I can say this because it's my show.
Right, but the 2 that you
Frank
had,
Williams.
right?
Frank Williams, to this day, is still an educator, and he's still on it, and he cares about his kids. And David Pate, tenor player. Those 2 guys, in my eyes, and is the whole reason why I think there's any musician still in this area. The rest of the educators that I came in contact with and still to this day, Florida's way behind. Actually, I am going to make one shout out, and this is a Florida thing. We have this new guy.
Uh-oh.
We have a new guy.
And let me continue and I'll tell you about my new album. No.
Yeah, right.
That's perfect though.
It looks like
he might have frozen, but he's right. Yeah. In Florida, the arts programs down here are not even close to what I was used to growing up in upstate New York, which was kind of an exception of the rule when you got Eastman School of Music. I mean, Doobie knows like what's up there. It's just a different vibe. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, Mac, because I know like, you know, going to school in Texas and living there, you know, there was a football component, and I think it's the same in Florida. I would think that, and some of Texas's band programs are very, very rigorous, you know, and have, you know, fully funded. Not all of them, of course. It's not a paradise everywhere, but I would think there would be more in Florida. That really shocks me in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have the marching band thing, you know, like that's big.
Right. And that does on your head. That feeds into certain. Yeah.
It's just a different vibe.
I know what you're saying. Yep.
Different vibe, but it's, you know,
Carl, are you back here?
See him
for the time being.
There we go.
You know how you told us not to talk over you? We did it anyway.
I said new guy, and I stayed like that.
Carl's like Johnny Carson.
I know, and whenever it happens, Carson, my screen.
Steve, you're Ed McMahon.
Yeah.
And I'm like Pete Barbuti, you know. And Mac, you can be like, I don't know, like Burt Reynolds.
The guy that showed up.
Burt Reynolds.
Oh man.
Can you hear us, Carl?
Yeah. Can I finish what I was saying?
I don't know. Can you?
Fucking saxophone players.
You called us.
You think trumpet players? I'm kidding. Here's to you guys. Here's to high C and apple juice.
Yep. Well, we appreciate your kind words, Carl. Seriously. I'm serious now. I'm trying to be serious. Oh God, this is.
There he goes. He's going. Doobie's going sailing.
I'm still trying to
get someone backdrop.
I'm still trying to figure out who the new guy in Florida is.
Backdrops.
And watching me trying to be sincere. Yeah, it's funny. I know.
No. If only we were at a bar right now.
Right.
Well, that would be
dangerous. That'd be dangerous.
Where did you guys lose me? Because I was seriously talking about wonderful educator Frank Williams. You lose me on that one.
We're going to give props to one other guy, and you said there's one other guy.
Okay, so Frank Williams is, there's Frank Williams, who's amazing, and he's still teaching. And then you have David Pate, wonderful sax player, and he just retired last year, a wonderful teacher. And then there's this new guy I was talking about. He's now coming. He came from the East Coast of Florida, and he's now in Tarpon Springs High School, named Rob Bosma. So there's some great educators, but there's small little pockets of them. The rest of them, like I heard Doobie talking about a lot of football-ish type of things, and where bands were always secondary, which I don't think there's nothing bad with marching bands or whatever, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to be second to nobody. I don't want a band to be second to nobody. And a lot of education when I was in school here was just that. It was, okay, he's in a band. There was not a lot of funding, and the teachers really, it was an elective almost, so to speak. But I was lucky because growing up in New York, it was just the opposite. And you guys had that too growing up in New York, right? I mean, you guys had you still hang out with Bill Tiberi, right, Mike? Mac?
Yeah, man. Every time I go up there, I either go see him play and sit in, or we put gigs together when I am up there, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, ours was so backwards. Like when I was in high school, the jazz band was the thing, and the football thing was like, okay, we do the football thing because we have to, because there's a football team, we have to have a marching band. But it was never like an important focus. Sure. We had to. Yeah. The jazz band was.
What about you, Doobie? What about you and your upbringing in your school? So you still talk to a lot of the guys that you went to school
I talk to a lot of them, the guys I was in the band with. Okay. So as you know, Jeff Barone, Jeff, great guitar player. We did that gig together in Utica, New York. Yeah, we still converse, a lot, and a lot of other guys, from that band that, guys that you may not know, Tony Gadelita, John Travato, other guitar players who are my friends, and drummers and bass players. It just goes on and on. Yeah, and I still, they're my closest friends, actually. As you get older, when you have a family and so forth, you're not like talking to these guys every day, but so that's
sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So we hit a lot of things really quickly, and I froze twice, so I apologize. But one thing I didn't say in the top of the thing is we're hanging with some live people. We call them affectionately fish heads because they come and support the feed, and we appreciate them. And so fish heads throw the Mike and Mike some questions or some hellos. Mm-hmm. And I see the board going crazy already. Steven, how's everybody doing? Everybody hanging?
Yeah, everybody's hanging out, and we said hello to some people when you froze the first time, but we got a lot of the regular crowd is here. I already said hi to those guys. Let's see, James is asking about the Zen garden, so in here. You were giving me a hard time about not having my trees, so Elizabeth got me a Lego bonsai to to hold you over for the season. We got the Hang Monster Frank Benici. Noticed that we were playing Dubin's Groove on the intro.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice little call out there.
So let's talk about Dubin's Groove. So
yeah, man.
Mike Dubaniewicz His nickname was Doobie or Dubin, and that's Jeff Barone, who was your roommate, guitar player at Manhattan School of Music, right?
He was. We lived together in an apartment. We grew up together and played in youth bands in Syracuse when we were 16. Driving around to old folks' homes with a 12-pack of Bush Tall Boys in the trunk, and we got lost, and it was all so
you still do that. Come on,
that whole thing. Yeah, well, so that was a tune I wrote, just a minor blues in a tribute to Woody Shaw, really. So and I know you dig Woody, and I can hear it in your playing, and among others, and it's a tribute, to those cats, man. They redefined their instruments. Hendrix, Coltrane, Michael Brecker, Miles, there was a new way to play the instrument. So he was one of those cats, Woody Shaw. That was a tribute to Woody Shaw, really.
And that's Dubin's groove.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Just a little pentatonic thing, it's not really anything, mind-blowing, but it's what it is,
It's a great tune. And so you hit on some things I was going to talk about, and I might as well just hit them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first met Mike Dubaniewicz was when he was living in East Harlem. West Harlem.
Yeah, the West Side, Morningside Heights.
Yeah, Morningside. Yep, on 123rd Street or 124th.
Right, exactly. Good memory. 123rd.
Right? I remember the apartment. I remember I used to drive there. I lived in Long Island, or I would take the train up, the A train, because my organ player, who I was on the band, started with Maynard in '92, who was piano player on Maynard's band, Ron Swansky. So Ron Swansky had an apartment next to Mike Dubaniewicz and Jeff Barone, and Ron's roommate was wonderful trumpet great to this day, and he's in New York City, John Owens. So
right.
I walked in, I remember Ron and John saying, "Hey man, you got to meet the sax player and guitar player," and it was Jeff Barone and Mike from upstate New York, all studying at the Manhattan School of Music. And I was the uneducated Long Island asshole. I can say that. These guys were going to school. And I'd come and hang with these guys, and we'd play. And that's when I first met you. And and I had a nice relationship still to this day with your buddy Jeff Barone. I love him. And
probably playing cards, right?
always. You guys
were
are always
playing cards.
Poker. Always,
Yeah.
man.
We were, those guys were hardcore poker. They were hardcore poker players. We would play for like nickels and dimes, but at the end of the night, the nickels and dimes turned into like $90 pots. So it was like, you know, and so you walked home with with a shoebox full of nickels, and it was a great night, you know. So,
yep, old West Harlem days, man. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that well. So that was cool.
Yep.
So now, MacArthur, when did you? So I gotta put this together for me. You and Dubaniewicz, you guys were in Manhattan, not at the same time, obviously. What years? How'd that work out, or did it?
No.
Work out?
When did you leave, Mike?
Well, I was. Are you talking about the Manhattan School of Music or just in general,
Manhattan.
New York City?
Manhattan School
Manhattan.
of Music.
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot. I'm gonna say 95 to 97. Maybe.
So you were doing were you doing grad work there?
That's correct.
Okay, so I was gone before he came to do his grad work.
There it is. Okay, so that's why.
Yep. And then when I came back to Florida, is when I came down to Florida is where I met you at Norm's place. Well, between the Cafe Creole and Norm's place.
That's when we first played. Was at Norm's place, and let's touch on that. So tell everybody about Norm's place. Back. This is cool.
Man, Norm's place. This is so. You almost can't describe it. It was one of those clubs, and it wasn't even. It was a biker bar, right? It was downtown in the strip of Clearwater. It was a biker bar. It was called Norm's Place, and there's two phenomenal musicians in Tampa Bay, Dave and Ron Reinhardt. They're both brothers. Dave's a phenomenal drummer, and Ron is a killer keyboard player. And their buddy Tim George played bass, and they had this little trio along with Chuck Schleich playing vibes. So like the first set was straight ahead, burning, ripping, playing tunes, blowing stuff. And then the second set was kind of like the fusion. They'd bring in Steve Petrie and some of like a guitar player, and then they would bring guys to sit in and everything and kind of have like a little hang at the end of the night. But it was like the Monday night hang of musicians. If you were a musician in Tampa Bay, you went there on Monday nights, you drank too much, and you held it. You hurt all day Tuesday, and it was every week. And I met probably, safe to say, probably 80% of the guys that I still play with today, I probably met at Norm's place through the years. It was amazing, just a phenomenal hang.
Gotta be a great place to workshop your ideas and all that, right?
Yeah, man, because it was just it all hang out. Like,
all right, Carl.
No, it's all right, Mikey. Yeah, no,
it was all hang out.
It was, it was, it was really, it was structured in a way, Dubaniewicz, and I wish you could have been there because it was kind of cool. Mac hit it right on the head. It was like a straight ahead thing on the first set. Chuck was a great vibes player. And then like the second set, all hell broke loose. It was like this turned into electric. And if you came a rock and roll guitar player, you could do your stuff. But me coming in as a jazz trumpet player, I could still do my stuff. Mike did his stuff. Yeah, man. And the pivotal point, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, and Mac will back me on this. The pivotal point of that club, Mike brought up Dave and Ron Reinhardt. Their poppy, their dad was Dave Reinhardt Sr. And we're just going to, I think it's safe to say, MacArthur, that we're going to dedicate this
Ron
tonight.
Reinhardt Sr.
Ron Reinhardt Sr. Yep. Yeah. We're going to dedicate tonight to Ron Reinhardt Sr.'s legacy and his warmth and musicality. He passed away about, 4 weeks ago, I guess, 5 weeks ago?
Yeah, it wasn't long, and he was like the quintessential cool jazz cat, man. Like he played his old 6 tenor with the same old mouthpiece he's played forever, and he did what he did, and it was like Stan Getz meets, Coleman Hawkins, like all the old school, just feel good. This is pretty, and you're gonna like it, and you don't have to say anything. It just is what it is. It was so cool, and that was his whole vibe.
He was whole vibe, and he was so warm and inviting. No matter if you came and want to be like a metalhead drummer, or if you want to play, soprano sax on a ballad, he owned part of the club. He was a partner in Norm's place, and so he had this legacy of him and his kids, and we still talk about it to this day. The guy was just he's definitely missed in this area. So. Yep. Our thoughts and prayers go with the family. So, not to change to a happier note, let's talk about all getting together. And Stephen, you can bring this up. Bring up some of those Maynard pictures, because everybody has their own Maynard concoction and stories.
So great.
So let's start with Doobie. Doobie, what was your first recollection when you first started touring with Maynard? That would be one of my questions for you, Doob.
Oh, wow. I could go on and on about that, but I think it was just like, when I got on the band and with the guys who were on the band and Maynard, it was just like fits like a glove. It's just basically I was, that had been my dream, to tour the world and to tour, the United States. And right off the bat, it was just like, bam. And I remember going into the first rehearsal and I was nervous and I didn't sound good. I was like, I'm going to get fired, man. And Maynard kept me on. And, by week number 2, everything was cool, man. So, it's just, it fit like a glove. And as Maynard, liked to hang with the cats in the band, and we toured on the same tour bus. It wasn't like, here's Maynard and you guys go this way and you do that, like so many other band leaders, right? Maynard was with us all the time. As a matter of fact, maybe not many people know this, but Maynard would out hang the band on many occasions till 6 o'clock in the morning, where we'd have to, you remember Mac, it'd be like with 6 o'clock in the morning, we're like, oh, we got to go to bed, man. And Maynard's like still talking and still hanging out and drinking a glass of wine or a Coca-Cola, whatever he was drinking that night, and it was just, that was my first recollection. It was just, like, these cats are real, man. And Maynard's been doing this for 55 years. I remember the number when I joined the band. He was doing that for 55 years when I got it. I'm like, 55? We're not even 55 yet. So think of that, you dig?
Yeah, man.
That's my first impression.
That's awesome. So that's great, Dubaniewicz. So I want to go back a little bit. Steven, can you pull up that first picture you had with Mike, Dubaniewicz, and Maynard.
Yeah, man.
Because another Tampa connection and a Florida connection. It's amazing. It's all hitting me now. And Mac, you just pulled. So there's a picture. The first picture, Dubaniewicz is next to Maynard. So if you look to your left on that shot, I feel so bad. We need to call this guy. On bass, on Maynard's right shoulder is a gentleman on Joe Laporta. Right?
Joe Porter.
Joe Porter.
Yep.
I'm thinking of Laporta. If there's a Laporta from Long Island. Sorry. Joe Porter. Tampa, St. Pete, Tampa bass player, a wonderful bass player. He might have Dubaniewicz. He might have joined when you joined. Then, so
I was on when Joe was on the band. I think pretty much all the way to when he split. I remember Joe was a great cat, man.
Yeah, great guy.
He came on after I got on.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that's right, but that was a Florida connection, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
you just said
know
it.
Joe. Yeah. I didn't know Joe. It was funny. I didn't recommend him. I knew of him, but I never played with him. And I think that hairline was my hairline on Maynard's shoulder there. I recognized I had hair.
Yeah,
I
think that's you. You still have the same hairline.
And the other Florida connection. Yeah. Well, it's the same.
What were you doing there? Like a buzz cut there on the picture?
It was a bowl cut.
Like Cindy Lauper or something?
Cindy Moppers.
Wow.
And what's amazing, too, is next to you was another great, and I speak to him occasionally, Juan.
Juan Turos.
Pardos. He's
Juan
Miami
Turos.
School of Music. Yeah, Juan Turos. He was my roommate, and he graduated from University of Miami on tenor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
great study with a whole bunch of great guys.
He's playing down there, and he's a great band director, running a great band program down there.
Great program.
One of the cats that should be in that job. You know what I'm saying?
He's killing it.
So
Has
there
a
you
beautiful
go.
family, great family. So that just kind of again, it's funny. You see these shots, and they're really now you put things together. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I was playing with Joe Porter when I met my wife.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So how many years have you been married, Maxter?
It'll be 21 in April.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. She's kept me around.
You're welcome. I'm at 23, so call me when you catch up.
All right, man. You got it.
Wow. I'm coming
That's
on
awesome.
10 this year. I'm only coming on 10. I've been with Kenneth for 16, but I've been married for 10. Wow. So we're the young
Excellent.
marriage. Cool. So all right. So now I'm gonna flip the script. Give me your first impression of touring with Maynard Ferguson.
Man, like Doobie said, where do you start? Like, first of all, I can remember the first plane ticket. Flying, my first real gig on the band, besides a little couple Florida dates, was Columbia, South Carolina. And I remember sitting at the hotel. I got there before everybody, and I was waiting for the bus. I sat in that room and looked out the window like a puppy dog, waiting for the tour bus to show up. And pulled in, and you get all these butterflies, and it's nerves, and am I good enough? And can I do this? Did I prepare enough? Did I practice enough? And you go to the gig, and Maynard makes everything okay. He just like his smile, his aura, his like, yeah, everything's okay. Like you could screw up. It's going to be all right. We're going to get through it. Everybody's here. We're going to plow through and do it. And it's just that positive attitude, man, that's just infectious. Like you have no choice than to just hop on that train and keep rolling. So it gives you a lot of confidence when you play. And just like Doobie, I thought I was going to be fired. Maybe I was. But I realized that I was coming in after some great tenor players, man, and they were blowing their butts off. And I came in and I was not that bebop guy. I wasn't the straight ahead playing fast bebop thing. And they threw my first freaking solo was Milestones at Drop the Handkerchief. And I'm like,
that was a hard tune to step up to.
Yeah. So after the first week of stepping all over myself, I think it was Earl or Big Daddy or somebody. I'm like, guys, can you throw me something that fits me a little better? And they threw the Blues from Around Here, one of the shuffle tunes or something. And I was able to be me, and then it kind of grew from there. And then from that, I ended up, being able to play the Birdland thing. And it's surreal, man. You're standing next to this guy who made this all famous, and it's the real deal. And I'm up there playing with him, and this, one of the most famous jazz tunes that's ever been made. Like, how do you pinch yourself every night? It's so cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great recollection, Mike. And I'll just echo what you said. I have a lot of fond memories, but I'll just echo what both you guys said. Maynard, as a leader, not just as a trumpet player, as a leader, would hear things in a player. And I know with Dubaniewicz, he loved Cannonball Adderley and Jimmy Ford, and Doobie is quite apt in both those sonic sounds. So, Mike would be blowing on, he loved having Dubaniewicz blow on that type of, tune. So he would tailor things and put people like Duke Ellington would write music for and feature guys in their own realm. Same thing what Mac just said. He, give me a shuffle blues where I can, really have the grits and gravy. And Maynard would know that and figure it out really quick. And it might take him a day or two, but he would figure out. And say with me, I was same thing. So each guy in his band, he knew he was a great baseball coach, right? He was just put him in, and he knew this guy's a pinch hitter. He'll still second base or whatever that may be. And it was amazing to see that in a leader, So.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, he let us get away with whatever we wanted to play, and as a matter of fact, he never, ever, ever, ever told me from a solo that I played, don't do that again. Don't do this again. I could, as when you're into it 4 years or something, every night you're playing a same couple of tunes, I would go off on a tangent. And when I say a tangent, I mean like way out off a tangent. And he would just be like, yeah, no problem. Try to do that on some gigs. You dig what I'm saying? That ain't going to work. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Steve-O, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I got a half a cup of coffee left and nothing's falling apart yet. So we're good, time. Man. Yeah, swordfish.
So what do you have? What do you have? What do you have for the fish heads? We want to include everybody.
Got a couple people. Somebody that I'm seeing in the chat tonight is Mr. Jay Webb has joined us in the chat. So I want to make sure.
What's up, Mr. Webb?
Hey to Jay.
Jay is an inspirational trumpet player. He's a wonderful trumpet player. Great trumpet player. Technician, very soulful, and one of the nicest guys I know. And we're with you. And I read one of your posts recently, and we wish you strength and positive vibes, man. We love you. And if you're not familiar with Jay Webb, if you're on TikTok, Stephen, what is Jay's handle? Because he plays a whole bunch of trumpet, and you got to check him out on TikTok. He's like the TikTok trumpet master, man. He can play. Jay's handle over there, or just put up WEBB.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now just to check. I don't want to say it wrong.
Yeah, but Jay's a monster.
Yep. Yeah. And while I'm doing that, Jay, go ahead.
No, so Jay's making a hang, so that's good. If you're on TikTok, check Jay out. And he's touring. I think he's touring again now, and that now things are opening up in the world. Thank God. I know we're 3 gigs in with Billy, which is nice. We have one coming up in about 3 weeks. But what do you got, Steve-O?
His handle is J Webb Trumpet. Webb with 2 B's.
There it is.
So
check him out. 2 B's.
Yeah.
So I was right.
Yep.
WEBB.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can spell.
I know things. We also have Dan Falcone joining us in the chat. I mentioned the Hang Monster. Frank Benici's here again.
Falcone, what's up?
Yep.
We got the Hang Monster from my buddy from New York. Hang Monster, Frank Benici. What's up, Frank? He was thinking about you. And Danny Falcone is one of the best, I'd say, West Coast trumpet players I know. He's currently resides in
Vinny Falcone's son. And, Vinny Falcone, one of the great great piano players, direct conductor of Frank Sinatra. I worked with him a couple times. Man, he's the cat, man. He really was, man.
I never got to work with him, and I heard nothing but wonderful stories. And Stephen and I have a old buddy, and maybe Danny doesn't know this. We have a buddy that used to be Frank Sinatra's security guy. Our buddy Stan, and he has some great Sinatra stories, and I'm sure Danny's dad did too. But Danny's probably one of the forces to be reckoned with in Vegas, man. He's
great lead trumpet player, man. He's one of the lead trumpet players that the lead trumpet players talk about. So, he's
a good dude. So he has a Con Constellation collection,
Oh, I got some Con Constellations too, man. If you want some. Well, I know a cat who has some in town actually, but
I don't have any, man. What do
you don't. Oh yeah, okay. There you go.
There's only 35 there.
What is that thing over there? That tall thing?
That?
No, the other two. Yeah, that. Oh, it's a trombone. That's right. Okay.
Trombone.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
A lot of people ask that question.
Yeah, it's Carl. I mean, you've probably answered this question many times, but when you got on Billy's band, you started playing all the reeds and all that kind of stuff. How long have you been playing trombone in addition to trumpet? And when did you add, how was it adding the saxophone to your arsenal for Billy's band? Because I think that was the impetus, right? Where you started doing that. How were those, adjustments? Tell us about that.
God, man.
Embouchure.
Man, he turned into what's his face, man. You're the host now, Mike.
I'm like David Susskind, man.
I'm scared.
Just go for it.
I love it, Dubaniewicz. So yeah, I mean, I always played trumpet. I always had a valve trombone. My dad always had a valve trombone since I've been playing trumpet. So I always would gravitate just to mess around with. So that wasn't really a very hard double for me. The Maynard story I talk about a lot on this feed. A lot of trumpet players ask me, you play trombone, how do you go between the two? And Maynard helped me out quite a bit. On Maynard's band, and you remember, because you'd be in front of me, on a couple passages, I'd play Maynard's superbone. He gave me a superbone. And switching, especially on Maynard's gig, when you have an energy demand, as Maynard would say, when you're pounding some stuff and then going to trombone, your embouchure feels different. Same thing if I play tenor or soprano, your embouchure feels different. So one of the key moments I actually asked Maynard would never directly say, you need to do this.
Uh-oh. We invoked Maynard.
I think we've frozen. Oh, there you go. Keep going. Just go do it again, man.
If I go like this, will it freeze?
Quick, go.
Oh, no, it did.
The amazing Randy.
And poof. Poof.
Yeah. Don't lose the topic, man, because it's important.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So basically, the one time I went for direct communication about fixing something, and the question was, when I go from trumpet to trombone to trombone to trumpet, my face feels weird. It's a very uncomfortable thing. And he said, it's in your mind. Whatever instrument you stick it in your mouth, whether it be soprano, saxophone, trombone, trumpet, flugelhorn. He goes, you're a trumpet player. He goes, you know what your center should be. You've played trumpet long enough to where you know how it should feel. If you have tingling around your chops from other mouthpieces, whether it be a trombone mouthpiece, a soprano mouthpiece, play through the pain. It's in your head. You know where it should be. Use your muscle memory and your musicality and play through it. Don't think about it. Because, of course, it's going to feel different. You're using different muscles. Who cares? Just play through it. Don't even pay no mind to it. And once he said that catalyst, that really helped my trombone playing out. And then going on to the next question that Duby asked me was, the impetus of playing saxophone on Billy's gig. There came a point where Richie Canada, who was playing saxophone, Mark Rivera was playing saxophone, Crystal Telefau was playing sax. Richie left, and there was an extra voicing that needed to be filled. I played tenor 20 years ago as a joke. I wanted to sound like Dexter. So I messed around a little bit, and next thing I know, Mark Rivera and a couple of couple of the Billy guys, Brian Ruggles, who's our sound engineer, and Tommy Burns. They were all very like Maynard. They're like, give it a shot, try it. So 2 weeks, the next day I had a saxophone and learned the parts, and Maynard stuck in my head. Just play through it. It's the same concept. And I found with saxophone, if I had a good read, it was good.
Yeah, for some of those Billy tunes, like what's the name of the tune? Ba-da-da-dee-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-dee-da-da. That you have to have moving out. Oh, I should have known that. But you have to have saxophones on that. It's just, it can't be done with trumpets, and all. It can't be a mixture. It's got, so you had to do it. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And my whole thing is I didn't want to take someone's gig away. So I mentioned to Billy and Billy's management, like, listen, you're going to I don't want to take anybody's gig if you're going to hire a sax player. And it was put to me very bluntly. I said, you already play trumpet and trombone. Why can't you be the utility guy? We're not going to give there's only 3 songs that are going to have that part. If you could do it, you could be the utility guy. We'd like for you to be able to do it. We're not taking a gig away from anybody. If anything, it will make, you play other tunes on other instruments. So I slept better at night knowing that. Let me try to step up and be, really earn my keep, so to speak. So the Maynard head kind of came out. It's like, it's going to feel different, but it's the same concept. It's just about moving air and playing in tune. I don't profess to be a great saxophone player or a great trombone player or a great trumpet player, but I'm going to be able to play the parts in tune. I want to be able to phrase good. And I want to be able to play with other players. And that's all you can do, be a band member.
Well, that's great. That's great because I that's a great thing to say, because I wrote a saxophone trio, and I'm gonna send you the PDF. Mac he has his tenor, and we're gonna perform it right now. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, you even got to shove it.
Ready? Come on.
Nice,
it, man. Would you expect anything less from Carl? There you go.
That's the sax stand, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's my neck.
That's his neck.
Oh, your neck. Okay. Good. Well, great. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll play.
Excellent. Well,
I don't wear
that's great, Carl. Thank you for answering that. So it's interesting, It's like I can think of only a handful of cats that do what you do, If he stops goofing around, I can finish this up. Tom Bones Malone, right? And you know Tom Bones Malone, and we've talked about that. Yep. And he's an incredible musician, plays all the, Howard Johnson, maybe, and he's passed away. And there's a couple of cats. There's some cats out. Ira Sullivan was a cat, who could, and he did it on the highest level. Talk about Florida, Ira Sullivan. Were you guys on that Ira Sullivan gig we did with Maynard down in the Keys?
I didn't get to do that, but I knew Ira from other things. But I never got to play
we were down. Yeah, and Ira opened up for Maynard. And I talked to him for about 10 minutes. He was great, and he's picks up any instrument and just play. He was like almost like 90 at that point. So incredible.
I'll give you one Iris. Yeah. I'll give you one Ira Sullivan story. Ted Shoemate, if you guys, Mac remembers Ted Shoemate. Mac knew Ira very well. So did Tony Castellano, local guys here in Florida, and they knew Ira very well. And so, long story short, I became very friendly with Ira. And Ira said to me, "Hey, I'm playing the Village Vanguard next week in New York. If you're going to be up there, come and sit in." Turns out I was up there, and I went and sat in at the Vanguard for 2 nights, and I think I was 20. I wasn't even 21 yet. And I remember playing at the Village Vanguard. If you're not a jazz musician on this feed, the Village Vanguard is like the epicenter of jazz clubs in the world, I think. And there's Ira playing, and he was like, "Come on, let's play." Brad Good was playing trumpet. He was a wonderful trumpet player.
He's out west now teaching, I think, in Washington or something like that. He's a great player.
Is he in Washington or in Denver? I think he's in Denver.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Denver's right. Yep. I think you're right.
He's a monster educator and great player. And I remember back in ADAT, he had an ADAT machine, and he recorded all those shows. I would play tenor, one tune on tenor, play trombone, play soprano. It was like
he would play like alto flute, and alto, flute, trumpet, trombone, you know, oh my God, there's some stuff with him and Red Rodney, you know, going at it on trumpet. And I mean, Ira Sullivan's like, you know, like he's not backing down, man. It was like, you know, for a cat who plays like
I saw him,
7 instruments, you know.
First time I saw him, I walked into the gig, I thought there was a horn section. Like there was all these horns lined up, and it was like, where's the whole section? And then Ira came out. Remember where it was, Carl? You probably played there, probably before we met, but the Hurricane
in Paso Grill, Florida. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. He used to go down there and play it. Oh, I forgot all about that.
Because Ted Shoemate ran that whole. He was down there and prevalent and everything with Ron and the whole thing back to the Norms. And then he had been at Norms a couple times too, but. Yeah, man, the whole Florida
and that was
connection.
Before, remember that band? Remember the Florida connection, Mac? Sorry to interrupt you, Mac. Remember after Ted left the Hurricane Lounge, it was Dave Hardman. What was the name of that band? With David Moss.
Dave Moss,
and Mark Neuschwander and Richard Drexler.
Hardman is out at.
He moved back here.
Out west.
Did
he move back?
He's back in Florida again. Florida.
He was out west because I remember being with Diane.
He was Indiana. He moved to Indiana.
And he showed up to a gig. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I teach here." So yeah, we had lost touch, and then he's back. I didn't know he's back. That's great.
He's back. He taught at Indiana University, which Crystal Telefaro went to. Our percussionist and sax player with Billy. He was teaching at Indiana University, and he just moved back to Florida. He retired and moved back to Florida. But that was that band. It was a famous band after. It's, you know what? When you really look back at a lot of things, a lot of water under the bridge, guys. Wow. Talking about water under the bridge. Man. We're talking about water under the bridge. I'm going to ask.
I mean, you know, Florida cats, man. You know, Jocko. Ira Sullivan, who came out of Jocko came out of Ira Sullivan's band, Cannonball.
Cannonball and that, yeah.
I mean, man, there's Sam. I think Sam Rivers, maybe.
Rivers in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's from there, but you know, man, there's just like it's a big. Yeah, this is the point in the interview where I was like, man, let's go back 40 years and just dig that. You know what I'm saying? So dig where everybody came from, that's Go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry for cutting you off, brother.
No, I love it. I mean, I'll just hit that for a second and then I want to go totally opposite. So, for our viewers who are not jazz heads or fish heads, we're talking about the great Cannonball and Nat Adderley quintet. Those guys lived in Nat ended up in Lakeland, but they're from Jacksonville via New York, and they came back to Florida. And another Florida connection. He was one of my trumpet teachers, Nat Adderley. He was one of my trumpet teachers down here, and so that was a wonderful thing. And then Sam Rivers, I know he had a big band up until him almost passed, just before he passed away in Orlando. That Jeff Rupert used to play in, and a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that came through this state, but and every region has them. And you just have to kind of really celebrate these guys because, what do we have now? We don't have a lot of music clubs, music venues. The 55 Bar, which is, a very progressive music fusion place that a lot of diehard jazz guys don't dig, but I think it's part of the New York tapestry. They're having problems. I just read that they're getting ready to go out of business.
Yeah. That was a great. It was a great. I went to see Mike Stern there, and I think somebody like Clint Strong. There's a country guitar player. He was sitting in the audience, like right next to me, like a big country. I can't remember who it was. It was
places like that, and then the Knitting Factory.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. But the 55 Bar and the Bottom Line, that was there's great records that came out of that. That was a big fusion area club. But I think the fusion era, we witnessed the tail end of that. Our lives, what era we come from, which is basically like 1990 and the early 90s. That was kind of the tail end of fusion, and fusion still remains. In many incarnations, but that was like the sort of the end of it. It was kind of. What do you guys think? I mean, maybe I'm not
Well,
right. I don't know.
I think you have a point. I'm gonna refer to Mac because that was where I was going with this, because you have, two schools and they're the same school. It's just regurgitated. Fusion can happen. I still think fusion's happening. It's anything fusing together. I mean, we're getting stereotypical now on a thing, but what I think is kind of cool is, Mac, you play with a lot like Brian Bomberg, produced your last record, who's a fusion, guru. Jeff Lorber, you've played, with a whole bunch of, you still play, get calls to do, you played a couple of weeks ago with Jeff Kosho, who's an unbelievable alto player. So talk to us, Mac, what's your feelings, and Doobie, what are your feelings on moving the music forward, or the stereotypical names of things? What do you think, Mac?
I think I'm tainted. Like, I'm not a jazz Nazi, right? But I had, when I was doing the Mike MacArthur group, it was smooth jazz. You wanted to be marketable. You wanted to be able to play the clubs and make the money because that's what they were booking and that's what they had. And you wanted to get on the radio as a smooth jazz artist. So you play the game to get there. And then in the live gig, you record what you have to record for them to play. And then the live gig, you can let it loose a little bit and actually play. But I listened just the other day, I'm not going to mention any names, but I listened, I was going through some new music on my phone, and I'm checking out new releases, right? And come across a couple that I was excited to hear because they're slamming players. And it sounds just like a smooth jazz tune from 20 years ago, like the same thing. So it's still prevalent in the industry, but nothing's changed. Like, production has changed, maybe a couple sounds here and there, but the kind of the roadmap for what these tunes are, it's like a pop format. It's just the same format, and it's very sterile, and it's meant to be what it is. It's pretty easy listening for people who like jazz, but they don't want to sit down and listen to Miles or Coltrane or Cannonball, or they can't comprehend it. They don't know enough about it. So it serves its place. I've grown away from that because I did it when I was in the game because I wanted to be in the game, and I met a lot of great people. And half those guys that are playing it, they play their butts off. Like, they can play, but they're going down that middle road of the whatever market or genre that they're in. But a lot of them, you put Brian Bromberg on an upright and he's phenomenal. Like, it's, I mean, he played with Stan Getz and he's done his homework and he's been around the block, but they're out there, it's just the market kind of dictates it.
Yep. And that's where you come into the stereotypical names and the radio play of the payola of, okay, we're going to push this guy. And I think everybody, whether it be a rock guitar player or a jazz saxophone player or a fat, out-of-shape trumpet player, we all should have our smooth jazz names. And like you said, half of the smooth jazz guys can play. And my smooth jazz name is Baloney Jones. Baloney Jones. Well, thank you very much. Baloney Jones.
You mentioned, like, last week I drove down to Boca Raton, Florida. Killer club in Florida. Al runs this place. It's a beautiful killer club, great sound, cool vibe. Jeff Kosho plays his butt off. He's a soulful, awesome guy. Just shines through. He's been one of the first guys I listened to in high school when the Rippingtons were happening and all that stuff, between him and Eric Marienthal and Brandon Fields, all the guys that had that chair. Mm-hmm. He's one of those cats, man, and it was their thing, but he can really play. So there's a difference of that whole market of, like, the popcorn and the meat and potatoes. Like, there's a big difference.
Yeah, well, Baloney Jones is coming after you, bro.
Baloney Jones.
keep your saxophone swabbing the sax, Carl. Just unless you want to throw down, man.
You want to smell some Oscar Mayer? Hang out with Baloney Jones. Steven has a name. Steven has a smooth jazz name too. Steven, what's your smooth jazz name?
Oh man, I'm completely blanking right now.
Oh, Steven, you're blowing it.
Oh yeah.
I got it's Herps. What is it?
Yeah, Herps Alpert.
Herps Alpert. He should be like.
Oh, don't start opening up cans of worms that you don't want to close up.
Not going there. We're not going there.
Nope.
I read the rules.
Yep, exactly. You guys signed on.
Hey, that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
No, but going back to the fusion thing.
Oh, it's appropriate.
So the fusion thing still, in my opinion, still exists, but I think it took a different life form. Like for me, bands like, and they've been around for a while, but bands like Lettuce, there's a band called Dumpster Funk, some of the horn bands like Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns,
Snarky Puppy.
Puppy.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Mac.
It's still there. You just gotta kind of look a little harder for it.
Yeah, it's basically like, you know, like Tower Power or whatever. You're when those you go out to the show, you're looking for there's maybe a singer, but you're looking for some blazing instrumental solos. That's where we come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh boy.
Oh
boy.
Hey, it's Elmo. It looks like I'm in church. I'm in church, dude.
I think that was one of the tours that we did. I don't think it was my last tour, but you know, since we're all here, I have a special guest. Well, I have a special guest sitting in right now.
Oh,
you may recognize him.
Oh no.
Wow. Wow.
Cook, is that? I can't say your name due to copyright infringements, but.
Wow.
I mean, what do you have to say for yourself? I don't know.
I would love to tell you that this is the first time a puppet has been on the Tuesday Night Hang, but it's not.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I have to say that Cook. What are you saying? We got to go. Okay. And scene.
Yeah.
Wow. Scooby, you cease to amaze me. That's why I love you, bro.
Oh man.
Breaker, you have air traffic control. You have a plane coming down the left.
Breaker 19.
Oh, and then you got Mac over here with Carl's COVID test.
Oh yeah,
picture.
this was last week's hang that never really made it out, and this is what it ended up as. My axe now. Yep.
Take my blood pressure.
I got one of those too, Carl. I got one of those too.
Oh boy!
Make sure everybody's healthy.
Oh wow!
You guys need. All right.
We're recreating the photo.
Wait, something's up my butt.
Are we going to have any questions here from anybody?
Yeah, Scooby.
Probably not. Probably not.
Scooby snacks.
Oh man,
this is our last episode.
Yeah. Believe it or not, our viewership usually goes up when this happens.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
I mean, well, why not?
Hey, Scooby.
Yeah.
What do you got? We have any? We took it left, but can we go right for a minute? We have any?
Sure.
Any questions?
We actually do. We had one for Dubie asking. Mac going way left. That's World of Beer, right?
I think so.
The first question that we had for Dubie was, what took you to UNT?
A plane.
I didn't hear the question.
What was your reason? Yeah, what was your reason for choosing UNT, North Texas?
Amtrak.
Okay. Well, back in the day, these guys are. I'll wait till they stop laughing. I'll look down at like the Brady Bunch. Well, I just University of North Texas. It was reasonably priced to go there, and it was a great school. I met a lot of people, some great friends that I played with after that, and I wanted to learn how to read music. Before I went to the University of North Texas, I really couldn't sight read at all. I couldn't read. I mean, I knew the notes on the staff. And after about 3 or 4 years of that, when you're reading every day, and playing changes and being surrounded with people of like minds, and musicians understand that, that's why I went there. So to be around people with like philosophies in terms of wanting to play the instrument, that's really, it's very basic. Yeah.
Okay. We had another one that you guys all three can kind of chime in on. It's actually from a student who got a new trumpet yesterday. He's starting on trumpet, and his question is
corner store. Is this corner store?
Yeah.
My man from the corners, JG Corner Store. I heard you had a trumpet yesterday. Congratulations. You have God's instrument. That is the main saxophone. Don't worry about it. You're playing trumpet. You're the man. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
No, but the question the question that all three of you guys can kind of chime in on is when you play a gig for so long, what do you guys do to keep it fresh?
Mac.
So, two things come to mind. One, you always approach it as a new gig because whatever you play every night's always new and fresh and different. And number two, you're almost locked in or dependent on the people you're playing with. So if you're playing with people who get it and know you have to play things over and over and over and over, they have to all be in the same mindset. You have to all be in the same mindset, knowing, okay, we're going to play this tune for the 847th time, but we're going to make it even better than we played it last time, or it's going to be different, or it's going to have the same intensity. It's just like reinventing yourself. Mm-hmm. That's part of that's hard. That's the show factor. That's the performance factor where you're forced to do it. And if you don't, it's going to show, and it's only going to make you look bad because it doesn't matter. You know, guys call tunes on a gig and they're the lame tunes everybody's played 500 times. Mm-hmm. Well, when a famous guy plays it and you hear it, it's awesome. Why is it lame when you're on a gig? You know, you play Brick House at a wedding. Why does it have to be a lame tune at a wedding band? Mm-hmm. Well, because you're not having fun playing it. Play it like you mean it, you know? And that's where it goes right back to Maynard. It's like the attitude. No matter what you're playing, you're going to go for it. And you're going to give it everything you got.
Have fun. Yeah. Enjoy it.
It's hard.
It's great. Not easy.
I don't know. What do you think, Dubin?
I think you're right, man. You know, it's just like, it's a matter of reading the crowd too. Like you can, you know, you got, it's Maynard or not, all the gigs we've done, you know, you read the crowd and that's what you're going to give them what they need. Maybe you won't, but you know, you're going to try. And you know what I'm saying? It's like you read it and you take a flyer. You take a chance. There's been many nights, you know, that I played over my 30-year playing career, whatever. And, you know, Maynard and all that stuff where I took chances. It's like, it just didn't work that night. You know, it's like, it was, why did I do that? But at least you did it, you know? So you're trying to read what's going on. I'll take a chance. Sometimes when you take those chances, it's glorious.
I think that's what I say kids, but you know, the younger generation of guys that are maybe just starting to gig or have gigged for 4 or 5 years, they're not seeing that level of swing and a miss. Like they're seeing a lot of stuff that's polished. By the time they see the concerts, they're not going to many club gigs because they're not as many that exist. Yeah. So they're not seeing the guys where they're counting off tunes and just letting it all hang out for whatever genre they're playing. It's always this really polished beginning to end thing with a button on each end of it, and it's not the real guts that you can see from going to a club and sweating it out.
I think a lot has to do with that, MacArthur, is because of YouTube generation, everything can be fixed and polished and produced to a certain degree and be called live, and it could look live, but a lot of times it's not. So I'm going to bounce it to these guys are very educated, and that what they say is 120% correct, but I'm going to go the opposite way because that's kind of the way I am. I go, if you tell me to go right, I'm going to go left. So my thing for the younger player who's our neighbor here at JG Corner Store, I'm going to just reiterate a couple of things that Maynard would talk about, and is first, be patient and take things slow and have fun. Don't take it seriously. Make this instrument, whatever you choose to play, whether it be a saxophone or trumpet, don't take yourself seriously. This is the best toy that you can ever have. This is still my toy. It's a toy. It's now it's an extension of my voice, but it's still a toy. It's an amplifier of my voice. Horn will win. Some days you will win. You might have a bad day. Don't take yourself too seriously. Take it slow. If you have a great day, that's a great thing. leave your practice session. If you have a practice session, you're struggling playing a C scale or a middle G or something easy, and you're having a problem with it, it's okay. Do something in your practice session, whether it be 2 seconds or 2 minutes, that you'll have joy out of, because you want to come back to your next practice session on that instrument with vigor and excited about it. You don't want to have a derogatory, you don't want to have a bad practice session at the end, because that's what you're going to remember when you're younger. So make it fun, take your time, take it slow, and enjoy it. So hopefully that answered that to our friend there in Chicagoland.
Yeah, I think it did. And I kind of wanted to add one thing that Mac was talking about, how everything seems to be polished by the time it gets to the consumer. I think there's actually something that especially younger students also need to be aware of, is the fact that now that there is the YouTube and the Facebook, lives and things like that, there's also a group of people that just like to hit the live button and try to be perceived as an expert in their field without taking the time to be that polished individual. So even though you can go out and hear everybody and hear everything online, also be weary of, you can't always take advice from everybody. Sometimes there's the perception of being an expert and not necessarily having the goods to back it up. Yeah.
And
You're right.
I mean, if the guy's had a gig and a real gig, then there's a pretty good chance that the guy could play.
Mm-hmm.
If he hasn't had a gig or a real gig and he's sitting behind his computer giving everybody advice, that's great. Some people are great teachers that never traveled, but are great teachers and educators that are great.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to pick and choose who's real and not, and it's harder nowadays in this age.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas as these guys, you put a horn in these guys' face, you hear them. There's no denying that these guys can play.
Mm-hmm.
It's about real world experience for the gig, right, Carl and Mac? Right, you're doing it, and I'm not a trumpet player, so I don't do what you do. On the flip side, I don't play the trumpet, I play the saxophone. But from being on Maynard's band and from other trumpet players, talking to them, there was, when we were doing Maynard's band, there was the sort of not the beginning of the internet, but there was those message boards, and they go, I can go, how much money does Maynard pay? I can play this note, and I can do that. Yeah, try doing it 6 nights a week for 2 months, man. Yeah. Try doing that, and then come back to me and see what you can tell me. That's really where it's at. So what the gig demands is important. Can you do it? If you can't, then you know what I'm saying?
There's always another guy who can.
Yeah. And then put the
There's
CD
always somebody else.
Yep. And then put the CD in the microwave in the Bunsen Brothers, and then light the CD on fire at a hotel, and then light your room on fire when you're having a drink after the gig.
I don't suggest you do that, Carl. I don't know where you got that idea from.
We did that. You and I do that.
Oh, did we do that? And let's go to the video. Because I have the video somewhere here. I actually do have it. But no,
God.
We're not. Carl never lit anything on fire. YouTube and Facebook. He just put, he put his horn back in his case and went to bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Guys would give all of us. They give Mac a CD. They give Doobie a CD. Give me a CD. Hey, and Doobie said it very eloquently. Well, how much does the gig pay? I can do this. I can play alpha double C, or I'm a great drummer and I can play really fast, but you can't play 2 hours with Maynard Ferguson. You could figure out who was real and who was not really quick. And then when they give you his tape, actually it was tapes first, and then it was CDs.
Right.
They give you their tape, their little mixtape, and you'd ask for 5 minutes of just a sizzle reel or something of all your, play a Latin tune, improvise on this, and play section and stuff. And within the first couple bars. And if they were comical, they either ended up in the back of the bus when we're drinking all night, Not that we drank all night, but you know,
Never.
Maynard, no. And we'd listen to them and you know have fun with them, or they'd end up in a microwave somewhere, or in a fire somewhere, or on the side of the road somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. And,
Okay, enough about that.
Yeah. On that note, let's see. We've got actually we've got a couple different people, and it leads to stuff that I know we were going to talk about a little bit later.
Oh boy.
We had somebody that was actually at the show in that you did, Carl, as the guest artist at Mike's school at SUNY. And we had somebody, and we have somebody in the chat that came to the show at All Access with T.Ë.T.I, where Mike sat in and played too. So both of them kind of asked the same question, like if you could talk a little bit about what that looks like as a guest artist, you know, going in working with high schools. How does that work? You know, how do you guys choose who to bring in? You know, how do you make those concerts happen? You know, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, actually, my hat's off. If I had a hat, I would take it off because guy that's hanging out with us at SUNY, Mike, Dubie, that was like in winter in Syracuse, so I remember it was cold.
You have to. Yeah, there's a couple times. So.
Well, the one we did just recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was actually.
Well, it was 2 years ago already.
Well, that was a while. Are you talking about the thing in Utica, New York, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually that was my birthday. It was December 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 48, so I'm going to be 50. That was 2 years ago.
It was an ice storm.
And it was free. It was an ice storm. And
when you got rented the pickup.
Yep. And then what was amazing was Mike Dubaniewicz had us come in, and he had me as a guest artist with his SUNY. It was a SUNY.
The SUNY broom. Yep.
And we did a concert the night prior, and then we went to Utica, and that was great. And then another person went to see Mike MacArthur has a wonderful all-access recording studio here in Clearwater that we're going to get on. We're going to talk about just moving forward. He has a wonderful studio, and I have a small band here called T.Ë.T.I, and Mike was a guest artist on that. He's guest artist on everything. So I'm just going to open a guest artist thing. When I hire a guy, there's the studio now. When I hire a guy, whether it be Mike MacArthur or Mike Dubaniewicz, Mike has played in my big band. Both guys have played in my small bands and big bands. And when I look for guest artists or any guys who I bring in, I look for guys I get along with, number one, guys that play their ass off, that read great, and that get along with other people, and I have a rapport with. And if I don't have a rapport with them, I got to have a rapport with them either on the phone or vice versa. So it's got to be fun for everybody. And hopefully I can learn something, and hopefully the student can learn something. So that's my mantra. And like I said, I've got to play and hire both Mikes, and they've have reciprocated and hired me. So Dubaniewicz, what's your criteria on that? And how's that work for you?
For hiring people, or just in terms of the educational thing?
Both. I'd say let's go with the question was, Stephen, about the educational thing more.
Yeah, it's kind of like about, you know, how do you choose to bring in people, and, you know, the importance of bringing in outside artists for the educational purposes, like guest artist shows.
Well, I mean, that's of utmost importance because, you know, you have to, you know, show the students and the community and the audience, you know, what kind of stuff is going on musically, you know, because I think people nowadays, I think young people, but even people I find in their 50s and 60s, they're thirsty for like really good music and live music. And I'm not talking about live music like, you know, like go see live music. It's like saying go eat meat. You know, it's very generic. Go see somebody who's good, you know, and see somebody who plays the trumpet very well, or the saxophone very well, or the guitar at a high level. Go see those things. That's the kind of artists that I want to bring in. And there's nothing wrong with entertaining the audience. If they can do that too while they're there, that's great too. So that's what I'm looking for, you know, somebody to show, you know, because I could go off on a tangent right now, but instrumental music, it's kind of it's being marginalized by pop music in a lot of ways, and it's like Wes Montgomery albums, they were, he did pop records, pop tunes. Those things sold millions of records. Where is that anymore? Where are the instrumentalists? Well, it's not really, because we don't want them there. It's because the public at large maybe doesn't want it, or the machine that drives the record business isn't pushing it enough. So that's where I'm going with that. And I know I, went off a little bit, but yeah. So bring in the cats, man.
No, you had some valid points. And yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. And I think it's even changed now to the point where, what are record companies? Just like two players left. There's no such thing. There's no, it's crazy because Mike can say, MacArthur can attest. He's helped me out mixing things, and he's opened up a studio for me and many projects. I've recorded at Mike's studio, MacArthur studio, for over 2 years now. We have a lot in the can, and it's in the can still. It needs to be mixed, but some of the stuff we don't even know what to do with it. And I'm really proud of some of that work. And, I just want, at the point now, we want to give it away because who's going to buy it? Look at, when was the last time any of us bought music? Think about that for a second.
Yeah. Where do you release it, right?
Well, the music, I could be wrong, but it's almost like, and obviously with the COVID world that we're in, it's a little bit tainted, but I feel like the recorded music that we have done or do currently or most recently just becomes a business card to play live when you can find a place to do it. So 100%. It's almost like we're almost back to the days of doing a demo to make sure that we can cut the gig. So you have to be willing at some point to sacrifice or give up a little bit to be able to have that opportunity to play. That's why we opened up the studio, to have more of a musician's feel, to be able to come in and actually create rather than watching a clock and, a less sterile environment than most people have. But I think we kind of went way off on a tangent about the education part of the question here was like, what's our view on teaching and doing clinics at the school? I can tell you what mine would be, because I've done them at my old high school. I learned a lot, first of all, from doing a bunch of clinics with Maynard Ferguson. That was a staple of each tour. Was a majority, at least half of the gigs were high schools or colleges where we would go in and get to work with these kids. Yep. So when I go into it to be a special guest at my old high school, Fairport, New York, and Bill Tiberio brings me in, I know when I was in high school, there were a handful of players that came in, and when they came in, there's things that I still remember that tipped my mind off, or got me excited, or that just stuck with me. I can remember one of the coolest clinics that I ever experienced when I was a kid was Dennis de Blasio and Dave Mancini, and they would come in and do their saxophone and drum duo. And they had this whole thing for it was a killer clinic thing, and they would do all the schools and they would go around doing that thing. But when they came in, de Blasio just made it fun. It was just fun. He brought his Barry in, he'd sing with his flute and do the little commercially gimmicky stuff. But there was this underlying thing of, well, you can have fun with this, but this is where the nuts and bolts are. You got to practice, you got to learn, these are the tunes, you got to know the history, you got to do the homework, and then you have fun with it. So that's what stuck with me. So when I go and sit bunch of kids, half of them are there because they're in band. Half of them are there because they know they're going to be a musician. And some are like, well, I think I can do this, but I don't know what to think of it. So you just got to make it fun. You've got to make it come from the heart and soul. You got to show them that you're having fun doing it. You're not just there to collect a check or do a clinic. It's got to be something that you really mean. And it's got to be, if you don't have passion, you're the most transparent person in the world, because everybody will see right through you.
Yep. Got to have passion. That's it.
Yep.
You're right.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. Sorry, Carl, go ahead. I stepped on you.
No. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's interesting because, what you just said, Mike, I think is really important. The fact that if you're a musician now, the influences that have happened throughout your life, you remember clinics that you went to or participated in. You know, like I remember, you know, as a result of a clinic is how I ended up meeting everybody, you know, on this show. You know, my dad still remembers playing with Clark Terry in 1972. You know, he still talks about it all the time. So those people that do exactly what you're talking about and go into school systems and make it fun and make it memorable, you know, I mean, what are we, 50, 49 years, almost 50 years since my dad had that clinic with Clark Terry. And I think he brought it up like 2 weeks ago on a hang.
Yeah.
So
they stick with you, man.
Yeah.
That kind of passion sticks with you. And that's what fuels. I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but that's what fuels greatness. People who have passion about what they do and they don't stop until they get it, they can get it out. Like that's sometimes the hardest part is getting it out. Like you go into the studio, I could go in there. I mean, I own it. I could go in there all day long and play for 24 hours a day. What am I doing? Like, am I doing something that's me on a plate, or am I just regurgitating stuff, or am I trying to do something that's already been done? Like, you have to have passion with what you're doing to be able to create a product that people can feel. And if you don't do that, it's not going to have as much,
it has to be
longevity.
transparent. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be and Mike MacArthur has built a place where, and Ronnie D is there, and Doug Johnson, who's the engineer, Ronnie, but they're all very insistent and they know what the end goal is, and the end goal is to have the music sound timeless and they're not looking at a clock, they're not looking at the watch. They're very inviting environment to where you can be creative, which is important. Like I said, I have a lot of stuff in the can. It's probably the best stuff I ever recorded in the can, and Mike McGarv hit it very, very much on the head. My man is pre-pandemic. It was a business card for you to go out and play. It's harder to go out and play now with all the Delta variant and what's happening now. So it's interesting where the world's going now as far as live performances, and we hope it's going to get better. But it's important to be viable and honest and humble with what you're giving out. And there's not when Mike bought that studio, I remember having a talk with you. I'm like, dude, you like losing money? Because everybody has a home studio. Everybody's going to record in their house, but there's nothing that replaces what Mike's studio has, and that's the community and the oneness of that room, to the point Mike opens it up to the public and people come in. We do concerts. We've had hangs at that studio, and I get emails still today saying, hey man, I heard you and MacArthur on a birthday feed. It was Mike's birthday, and we played on and we heard, and that was it was raw, and there was mistakes, but it was raw, but it was cool. And other things that come up, I have Teddy in the studio, and again there was audience, so it becomes a lot more real instead of memorized. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Ted.
We'll do it again. I mean, when everything opens up and it's a little bit more comfortable to have things happening, because studio, you get a bunch of people in there for concert. It's pretty close quarters, and I'm not going to, create a super spreader event through all access recording. But
why not? Come on, it's fun.
I'm going to have passion if I do it. No, we'll do it again.
Oh no.
We'll do it again, and it'll feel good, and it'll be right. And I can remember all the times that we've played there. Ronnie D and Doug Johnston worked their butts off. Lamangelo's there working their butt off to make sure that everything happens.
Steven.
Steven's been there. Yep, Steven's been in there, and he's been on the other end of the computer while we're trying to do stuff there. And bottom line is, when you go in there, there's this openness of, let's create something that we're all here to do, and there's no expectations, and there's no fakeness at all. It's real. It is what you can be, what you want to be, and hopefully we capture it, and that's it. And we just try to make you feel as comfortable. It's literally like we want you to feel like you're in your own house and have the freedom to do whatever you need to do while you're there. And that's what you should do whenever you play.
Yep. And I'll go 10 steps further. It sounds 20 freaking times better than what your home studio at your best is, because mic placement and acoustic bounces off walls. Everything is designed. This place sounds right. When we went into the studio with Maynard Ferguson, Sound Design Studios, the room was designed. You cannot know when you go into Hollywood, you go to Capitol Studios, you go to the Power Station in New York. These rooms have a sound. Mike's room has a sound, and it's not sterile like a regular home studio.
Well, it was built by the engineer.
To that sterile sound.
Yeah, it was built by our engineer, Doug Johnston. This was an existing studio. We all came in and purchased it, and Doug built that room to what he knew would work. And funny, we won't go into whole details, but sitting in the studio for the first time with Carl and Doug, both of them were looking at each other like, I think I know you. And it came out, they worked together like 20 some years ago up in the DC area for 2 years doing the Little Bill stuff, man. So it's just a small world.
Engineering Little Bill.
Yep. He knew what he wanted. So he came down here and he built it and he made it work. And he's very adamant about, nope, we're not putting a hole in the wall there. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And you know what? He's right, because it sounds good.
Yeah. Sounds great. Yeah. So the moral of the story is you come through anywhere in the South or Clearwater, you need to look up All Access Recording and Mike MacArthur and just come, and even if you're not going to record, come and hang and listen to the quality of the music compared to what you hear on squashed MP3 things. Now people will be coming in there for free, right? It's going to be an open door. It's great. I'll make no money.
Bring it, man. Bring it. Come on down, Doobie. Let's play.
I'm with you, man. I'm coming down tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
I'm ready for you.
Are you coming on a bus, a train, or a plane?
Let me put it this way. If I was going to come down, I would shoot down on like a squash, like the fruit, the squash. And I would just like put, like a giant squash.
This would be Doobie's ride.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep. And wait. This would be Carl's ride.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hang on, Doobie.
I'm in church.
Yeah, I think Doobie should take a Greyhound, and I think I have a picture of a good driver. Might take me a second to find it, but
yeah, Greyhounds. Yeah, I believe me, I'm taking some Greyhounds, man.
Senator, he might have a slight drinking problem.
Oh, you mean this guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey.
I'm a very good driver.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, but I had a CG con jacket when I was kind of had a con jacket.
Is that a con jacket?
Yep.
That's a con jacket. I was a con man. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
I still think I have that somewhere.
How about this though?
Yeah. Oh, now you're talking my speed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, background pictures aside.
We'll talk about our problems with overweight, and gluttony and all that in the next episode of Carl Fischer Live.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm surprised we haven't had a cooking show yet. Yeah.
Oh man, I love cooking, man.
Yeah.
So we can do a cooking show. I love to do it.
Yeah, man. But
I'll show you some stuff. Mac, you got your mom's stromboli recipe ready to go?
Yeah, man, I'll do that.
Yeah?
I'll make the brownies.
Oh, okay. I remember the strombolis on the bus, Mac.
Oh,
those were great.
There you
I'll
go.
make the brownies.
Yeah, makes the brownies.
Yep.
Special brownies. I'll make the burn your ass chili.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you can ask Frank Benici, the hang monster. I burned his stomach so bad, he'll never be the same. Right, Frankie?
Yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
Doobie, what are you gonna make? You gonna make something good? What do you got, Doobie?
For what?
For your cooking show.
For the cooking show, man.
Well, I thought we were on the next topic. I could do some Polish food. I could do some, I'm serious, man. And I'm actually a pretty good cook. So, and I have my own garden. I grow my own herbs, not what you're thinking, but it's
Yes, you do.
It's the real.
Speaking of growing their own herbs.
Yeah, right.
It's
excess CBD.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, I know a guy.
yeah. Well, I'm opening my own store called. No, I'm just kidding. Doing that.
Called Doobies.
Yeah. Doobies, come on in.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm gonna. Well, here's the.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We overloaded him.
Oh.
He did again with the hands.
Yep. He's
In
got to
the hands.
stop
Here's the
pointing.
thing.
Yeah. There you go. He's
It
back.
was the hands, Carl.
Look at that face.
Didn't your mother
Son
tell you
of a
pointing is rude?
Jesus, computer. Now, speaking of connections, I think Mac has to hook up with Doobie and name an all-access CBD, which is Mike has all-access recording and all-access CBD, which is legal cannabis, and it saved my mom's
It's hemp, right?
mobility.
It's hemp.
Hemp. I'm sorry, not cannabis. Hemp. Excuse me.
It's all in the cannabis family. Yeah.
It's a big umbrella, and it's helped me out. It's helped my relatives out. Mike MacArthur's helped multiple thousands of people with his product, and I think now that Dubaniewicz is here, I think there might be an all-access Doobie special
think that's
edition.
a match made in heaven.
Well, actually, I really believe in that stuff because my mom uses it too now. She's 80 years old. She uses the balm on her joints, and it works. She was a nurse for 40 years. She's dealt with opioids, and she's taken several painkillers, and she's had leg replacements, like full foot, and that, obviously it's not gonna, if you're busted up, it's not gonna, alleviate pain of that magnitude, but it really does work, man. And I think we're heading in the right direction with that. Yeah.
So that being said, Mike MacArthur is the spearheaded, as far as I'm concerned. He's changed my outlook because, believe it or not, I never smoked pot. I never did any drug. I always was turned off by it. And when my wife developed, I'll say this as a personal thing. When my wife got diagnosed with cancer, MacArthur said, "Have her come to the store. We can help her out. We will." We went, and Mike loaded us up on a whole bunch of good stuff. And I was in pain. I didn't even know I was in pain. And I never took it. And anyway, long story short, I ended up taking some of it. And I didn't realize how it helped me out tremendously and got my whole family involved with it. And Mike's been a very big proponent of that. So tell me, how did you bridge the gap from being a musician? I know the story, the vaping thing, but bring everybody up to speed because it's really a cool symbiology.
So, very long stories, like smash it up together here. I quit smoking by vaping. I opened a vapor store because I didn't want to grow up watching my daughter grow up from a hotel room on FaceTime. I wanted something to keep me at home. Right. I wanted to see her lose her first tooth and be in kindergarten and go to the lunches. And I wanted to be there. So I didn't want to be traveling. And the only way to make real money was to travel a lot. Because in Tampa, or locally anywhere, it's hard. But I wanted to have something to anchor me. So by quitting smoking, I vaped, and I figured let me take a shot at a vapor shop. So we did. It ran its course for 8 years, but about 6 or 7 years into it, I had an opportunity to open a CBD store because it had become a little bit more prominent and everything, was kind of going that direction. And man, it was, even myself, who owns the place and created it, you kind of feel like you're selling the magic water, right? Like, it's not weed, it's diet weed, or it's what's this or whatever. But then you start doing the research, you start using, you start experimenting. It morphs into more than just a novelty. And we built a lab. So I built a full ISO 6 medical grade lab, and we make our own product. And then I have a store here in Tampa, and then one up in Rochester, New York, where I'm from. So, and you see it, people changing people's lives. So your validity of the whole thing is people coming in, buying something, and then a week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month later, they come in and they're like either in tears because they can't believe how much it helped them, or they're telling you how skeptical they were until they use it. And now they realize, holy crap, this is awesome. I'm going to scream from the mountains that CBD is awesome. So for us, it's just, twisting people's mind a little bit so they don't think it's, you're not smoking weed all day long. It's not, you're not even smoking it half the time. It's topical. It's an oil. It's whatever you want it to be. There's a bunch of different vehicles.
take the drops. I take drops.
In a nutshell, yeah. In a nutshell, that's
Yeah.
how it happened. It just was a natural progression. I've since closed all the vapor stores because of the FDA garbage, and it was going to cost too much to keep that all happening. But the CBD thing has really been a godsend in many ways.
Beautiful.
People come off Medicaid. People stop using opioids by replacing it and gradually working in with CBD, and that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, it's been around for 10,000 years plus, and there's a reason for that, and hemp, ropes. I mean, come on, it's been here for,
Yep.
So, but that's, I'm not trying to sway anybody in any direction. But
no, it is what it is, man. I mean, you're either gonna accept it and use it and enjoy the benefits of it,
yeah, or don't use it.
Or don't. Nobody's
Yeah.
twisting your arm.
This is America, right?
Right.
You tell them, Dewey.
Yeah, but thanks for bringing that up because it's a big, as Carl knows, it's a big part of my life and what I do every day. So,
Well, it helps people,
awesome.
and I think musicians like helping people physically and mentally and spiritually, and
Yep.
you do that on multi levels. And I've seen it with my own family, and myself, to where it's helped me focus better and play better and feel better, and my family feel better. And like you said, it's pretty life changing. It's intense, man. And
Mhm.
I tell a lot of young people, you don't have to be the next reincarnation of Wynton Marsalis or Charlie Parker. You can have other interests other than the music, whether you like art, gardening, open up, the best trumpet lesson I got from Wynton Marsalis was go read a book on something you're not interested in and learn about something you're not interested in and get back to me. 6 months later, I realized what it was. It was about expanding my horizons and not having a pigeonhole in something. And all you cats have done that, which is important. So
Yep.
I'll shut up now and talk about something stupid.
No, it's good. Before we move on from that, Pat in I was gonna say Pat in the chat is asking, Mike, can you tell him a little bit about where the store is in Rochester?
It's in Webster, so it's like on the north side, right up by the bay. It's in Webster, right on Empire Boulevard.
Okay.
It's just a store up there. My lab and where we manufacture is actually right here in Florida, like 8 miles from where I'm at right now. So, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, stores up there. Lab is down here. You can go to the website and find everything.
Cool. And what's the website? allaccesscbd.com?
That's it.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
That is it.
Awesome.
And I went in there with rubber gloves and a lab coat once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding.
I really wish you would have worn clothes underneath it, but
I didn't have underwear on.
it was so awkward.
Now we should do a live playing hang from inside the lab.
Yeah, right. Uh-oh.
Put our headgear on and the
That would
masks
be
and
good.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh. I think he froze just at the right
Keep going
time.
again.
Yep.
It's a better looking
Carl
picture
froze
though.
up.
Yeah.
He's smiling.
While Carl's coming back in, I'll mention Pat said to repeat the website again. It's All Access CBD. So
Yep, I will actually see him here. I'm going to type it in right now.
Awesome. Thank you. And then while Carl's rejoining, we're coming up on 2 hours. Uh-oh, where are we going here? Carl had to drop and reconnect. So let's give this a second here. Let me put him back in. And while I'm doing that, I actually have a really interesting question here. We're coming up on 2 hours. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but the question is, there's so much talk about what music is going to be post-pandemic. Okay, and the question that is interesting to me is, what do you think in the music world the pandemic progressed and then reset? So what things do you think the pandemic forced people to move forward in the music world? But what do you think, like Mike, you mentioned, like we're back to the days of the demo for the live gig, What do you think progressed, and what do you think kind of is going to move backwards and start over?
You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it, and I'll add everybody back in.
I think personally, it forced me to enjoy listening to music and other types of music I wouldn't have normally listened to because I had time. We all had time, right? We had time to do stuff. We had time that was bugging us by not knowing what we could do or scared to leave or whatever it was. I would sit and listen to music, put a pair of headphones on or turn up the stereo and listen to whatever and just scroll and pick something. With Apple Music and Spotify and Amazon Music. You have access to everything, which is a whole nother story. But I think it forced me to listen to different styles of music and different players and different genres that I wouldn't have. And it opened my ears to some new things, which was really, really cool. I don't know if it's been reset. It hasn't come back all the way. I mean, look at Carl. You know, he said he's had 3 gigs with Billy. He's got another one coming up. Things are not normal yet, and they aren't going to be
there's
for
no
a while.
There's no post-pandemic. We're still in it.
No, we're still in it, and it's going to be a while before it gets there. I think what we have is, I'll give you a specific example. For me, it's nice to see, you know, like the band Dirty Loops, pushing the envelope and putting out music like that. They're tunes that everybody knows. They're not doing anything that nobody's ever done before. They're doing it really well, and they're doing it their way, and it's like they're making their mark of this is what we're doing, and it just kind of sets the tone for there's still excellence to be had out there. And I think that if people put a little bit more stock into it and not just the internet sensations, the overnight guys who are just playing whatever, it carries a lot more weight. So you might see a little bit more. I don't want to say intellectual, but you might see some more passion coming out of people's music because they've been able to focus on it maybe more than normal. Life got out of the way. We were able to push the pause button and focus on things that actually meant something. That's my take on it.
Ah, cool. Doobie?
Well, I think it's about continuance. So we stopped at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's kind of like, just like Max said, we're just getting back into it, you know, and I've started up maybe about 6 months ago. So it's like, I'm just starting up from there and I'm continuing on. And that's the end of what I'm going to say. I don't have many more explanations about what I'm thinking. It's just, we stopped and we're starting again. And as you guys know, I'm sure, you pick up your horn. It's like, wait a minute, this is not quite the same, but we're going to get back there. I think we're heading back. So we're just doing what we do, and the muscles too, right? Muscles, you dig, right? Which brass players, Carl, you've got tons of trumpet players on here. You know how it is. When you don't play, what does that feel like? So
things go away quick. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bill Tiberio, actually, I talked to him a while about this, and he brought up a good point because I asked him out. He used to gig all the time, like 5-6 nights a week in Rochester. Pandemic hit, he stopped. They do the virtual stuff, whatever. Gigs started opening up again. The problem they had during the pandemic, they were getting people to pay $25 to go see a show with a very limited crowd, or online, paying money to go see somebody online. And it was sort of working in certain areas, and certain people had their thing going on. Once they started up again, there was like almost so much stuff going on, whether it was outdoor or online or whatever. It was hard to get people to pay money at all because it was all back again. Well, why do we have to go pay to see this guy? Because it's all free now. I think that's the next hurdle, is how do you get it back into conditioning? What has to change? What's going to be different? What's going to draw somebody to take some money out of their pocket and go pay to hear something? You mean I don't take anything home, or I don't get to eat, or what? Like, no, you're paying for music. It's art.
Right.
You don't go to an art gallery and buy a piece of art by leaving without it. It's the same kind of thing.
You're getting art and entertainment at the same token, and you're listening to musicians or artists that have worked their craft their whole lives. But you have a weekend warrior that plays at someone's bar mitzvah, that can play a C scale now, is going to play for free, and that's going to be the norm. So it's always been, the musicians and artists always cut themselves short, but at the same token, society does the same thing, and we devalued art and music for so long that it's to the point where you can't make money recording music. And now the one thing we had is music live. And like MacArthur said, that's going to be the next hurdle of getting people into the seats paying a cover charge because, you know, the bar back is making $100 more than the musician.
Yeah.
That's played his whole life, but I can throw beer bottles in a fridge and throw them in the garbage and make more money than the guy who's played his whole life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And both Mike said it really good. And I don't want to go back. I know present tense and moving forward what I'm doing, and it starts right now and it goes to the right. I'm not going left. I'm not going back. Who cares what the pandemic was? It sucked. We got through it. Everybody kicked and scratched. We're still getting through it, and we're still trying to figure out how to be healthy and happy and play music and bring people together because we've all said it's about community. So and the community is the hang, and we're hanging, and there's people here, and I think people miss the social aspect and the touch of music and the human touch. I think it's very important that we get back to that. I don't know.
It also affects not just the artists. Like we're talking about like the players and how we communicate and do our craft. You know more than anything, Carl. The crew that makes Billy Joel's thing happen is the lifeblood. That's the heartbeat, man. Those guys are out of work too. The ones that make it all happen for the people to enjoy the show that you never see, they've stopped. They've come to a brick wall because there's nothing for them to do.
You have the truck drivers, you have the rigging crew, you have production people of sound, you have production people of stage, you have the production people of lights, you have the ticket masters, you have the ticket sellers, you have the ushers, you have the union guys that set up the electric, you have this multi-million-dollar thing that just is not there. Broadway last week finally opened up.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
It'll be slow. I just hope it opens up stronger than it used to be, maybe with more value. Maybe I'm being optimistic or a little over optimistic, but I just hope that it comes back with more value than it did before because we missed it for so long.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because what I really hope happens out of this is that, number one, exactly what you just said. I hope that people value the live aspect of this. So I hope they value music, art, and I hope it happens. I hope that you see a new rejuvenated appreciation for teaching. Because I think what has happened is parents figured out that having their kids home all day and trying to teach them is not as easy as they thought. And that teacher, maybe they did know what they were doing,
Taken for granted.
Yeah. So I really hope that that's another one. But
the teachers, and also one major thing we left out, dancing.
Yeah.
You got art, you have music and dance. That's a big thing now, man. Especially you look at TikTok and everybody's getting back into the dancing thing, but ballet, opera. I mean, it's just so many different things that are just, What?
Yep.
Oh, there was
my daughter does both of those, and she's a great opera singer too, and she dances too. So
exactly, I know your wife is a great pianist, and the arts, man. It's you guys just see this thing on Facebook, and maybe I'm a old. It's old now, but it's about the benefits of music, about science, about math. It's like this cartoon. Have you guys seen that? It's amazing. It's about math, science, geometry, and a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know it was that deep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You have your own TikTok dancing videos, don't you, Carl?
I do. I'm a very busy dancer as well.
That's right.
My name, just pull up baloneyjones.com.
Baloney Jones.
Baloney Jones with a capital B and a capital J.
Yep. All one word.
And that what does that spell?
Wow.
BJ.
And swordfish.
Okay.
Yep. So we're about 2 hours and 10 minutes in. I know I've kept you guys for a long time.
Damn it, Steven.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here, man. This is great.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I appreciate you guys hanging in there, especially after last week. I'm going to take a minute to say thank you to everybody in the chat that joined us, everybody that chimed in and said hello and just hung out with us like usual. We're 56 episodes in now, and I really appreciate that there are more people here now than there were when we started, and Cookie Monster too. But with that,
Cookie Monster included.
Exactly, Cookie Monster counts as a view. But I'll say thank you to the chat, and I'll close down the chat for tonight. And I will say thank you to Doobie and Mac both. It's good to see you guys virtually, hopefully in person again soon. And I will let Carl have the last words with you guys.
Wow.
Wow.
See, when all serious, you went all serious. I got to take it left.
Yep.
I kind of feel like we did this last week.
We did do it last week. It was fun too. It was fun this week too.
Yeah, man.
It was a lot more curse words though, because we didn't have an audience.
Well, but it was great seeing you guys too. And I believe in everything we're saying. Keep the front, straight, and move music forward. We still have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree, Doobie. So I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna pose two questions, and then I'll make a synopsis at the end. And I agree with you guys. I think we just keep on keeping on, like Clark Terry used to say, keep on keeping on, and move music and humanity and positive vibes forward, because I think we all need that. So that being said, I am going to leave with Doobie. I'm going to ask Doobie first. What are you looking forward to in the future, my man?
Oh, in the future. Wow, that's a great question, Carl. I'm looking forward to just, I think, some stability in terms of what we're doing in the industry, in the music industry, and not so much a reward, but a recognition for everything that we're hoping for in terms of moving forward with keeping the arts alive. It's just we want to just before the pandemic things were tough, and during the pandemic, and you whether you say it's after or not, they may get tougher, but we're going to come out of this ahead, and just that's basically move ahead, like I said before.
Beautiful. That being said, I'm going to give Mike MacArthur the last word, but before I give it over to Mike, I am going to say thank you to the fish heads, which is the viewers and the people that have dropped us messages, and everybody logging in. Thank you so much for making episode 56 very fun for us. I had fun. Hopefully you guys had fun. And my hats, again, I took my hat off, but my hat is staying off for Stephen Wright for dealing with the internet gremlins and keeping us together and keeping us sane and happy. Thank you, bro. Without you, there's no us. So thank you, Stephen. And that being said, episode 56 is wonderful, and I'm going to leave the last word with my man, Mac. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a great Mike and Mike hang. Mike MacArthur, what are you looking forward to in the future, my friend?
Man, no pressure. Jeez. I don't know.
It's a tough one, right?
I'm looking forward to creating opportunities, I think. I think the pandemic forced the majority of the world to push a pause button and find out what matters the most. Mm-hmm. And when you have a lot of free time, you realize what you love to do and what you don't love to do, and you realize things that you never thought you would like to do. So I think in my world, by having the CBD to help people and having the studio to create more, I want to record more. I've been in there. I could count on, in 3 years, I can count on this hand how many times I've actually recorded in my own studio. And I have plans to go in and make some music, not for radio, not to please a promoter, not to get a gig. I want to play music that I like, that's fun to play with good musicians, and put it out there. And that's it. So creating opportunities to just be happier. I know it sounds super corny, man, but when I play my horn now, because I'm not doing it every day like I used to, I enjoy it 100 times more. So that's what I hope to keep happening more and more and more and more, even as it becomes more frequent.
Couldn't say it better myself about opportunity and moving forward. Thank you, Mike and Steven.
Thank you, guys.
Peace out. Stay here a sec.